You forgot an entire movie you swore you had already watched. Someone names a film and your mind goes completely blank. Then one small scene suddenly brings the whole story rushing back. It feels impossible that 2 hours could simply disappear so easily. Many men quietly wonder if their memory is getting worse with age. Some even fear these moments reveal something seriously wrong. But psychology offers a far more surprising explanation than memory loss. Your brain may be working exactly the way it was designed to. The real reason has almost nothing to do with intelligence. Once you understand it, you may never watch movies the same way again. You probably believe forgetting a movie means your memory simply failed you completely. But your brain almost never stores every experience with the same importance or strength. Instead, it constantly decides what information deserves space for the future. Once a movie ends, your brain begins judging whether it will matter again. If nothing connects that story to your life, its priority quickly drops. The memory becomes harder to reach even though it still exists inside your mind. That is why one familiar quote can suddenly unlock the entire film again. The movie was not erased because it simply became harder to retrieve. Psychologists call this retrieval, and it depends on meaningful mental connections. Your memory works more like a search engine than a permanent recording. It finds information faster when strong emotional or personal links already exist. Without those links, even great movies slowly sink beneath newer experiences. That sounds surprising, but it explains far more than most men realize. Yet this raises an even bigger question about how memories truly survive. Why do some movies stay unforgettable while others disappear within days? The answer begins with one powerful force your brain values above almost everything else. Emotion quietly decides which memories deserve a permanent place inside your mind. A movie that deeply moves you leaves far stronger mental connections behind. Fear, joy, sadness, wonder, and surprise all strengthen the memory while you watch. But a movie that feels pleasant without emotion fades much more quickly. Your brain assumes emotionally powerful moments will matter again in the future. That is why unforgettable scenes often return years after you first saw them. Meanwhile, entire stories can disappear if they never truly touched you inside. Even award-winning films can fade if they never became personally meaningful. Memory cares less about quality than it cares about emotional significance. This surprises many men because they confuse enjoyment with lasting memory. The two are connected, but they are far from being the same thing. Yet emotion alone still cannot explain why so many movies disappear today. Modern life has quietly introduced another enemy that weakens memory every day. And almost every man unknowingly carries it into every movie he watches. That hidden enemy is not your memory, because it is your attention that quietly disappears first. Many men no longer watch movies with their minds focused on only one experience. Phones, messages, unfinished work, and constant thoughts compete for every second of attention. Your eyes may stay fixed on the screen while your mind keeps traveling elsewhere. The movie continues, but your brain never fully processes what it is seeing. Psychologists call this shallow encoding because little information reaches long-term memory. Without full attention, your brain creates weaker pathways that fade much faster. The film feels familiar later, but the details seem impossible to recover. This is why trailers sometimes feel easier to remember than entire movies. Short moments often receive more focused attention than long, uninterrupted stories. Your brain cannot deeply remember experiences that it never fully experienced. The real problem is rarely poor memory because divided attention comes first. Modern distractions quietly steal the mental energy needed to build lasting memories. But your brain has an even deeper reason for letting so many movies quietly fade away. And once you discover it, forgetting films starts making perfect psychological sense. The biggest surprise is that forgetting movies is often a sign your brain is working efficiently. Memory was never built to preserve every story, every scene, or every conversation forever. Instead, it constantly filters what feels useful, meaningful, urgent, or emotionally important. Your brain protects space by quietly removing details it expects you will never need again. That process happens automatically without asking for your permission or awareness. Think of memory as a library that cannot keep every book on the front shelf forever. New experiences constantly push older and less useful ones farther into the background. The movie is not destroyed because it is simply stored where you rarely look. One familiar actor quote or soundtrack can suddenly unlock the entire memory again. The information was always there waiting for the right mental connection to appear. Psychologists call these retrieval cues, and they shape far more than people realize. This is why forgotten memories often return when something feels strangely familiar. Your brain remembers through connections rather than perfect permanent recordings. Once you understand that forgetting stops feeling like evidence something is wrong, the real question now is how you can help your brain remember more naturally. The solution begins long before you ever try remembering the movie days later. Your brain remembers best when attention stays fully present from the very beginning. Watching without checking your phone gives memory stronger foundations to build upon. Talking about the movie afterwards strengthens the pathways your brain just created. Even thinking about your favorite scene makes those memories easier to find again. Connecting the story to your own life gives it far greater psychological importance. Your brain naturally protects memories that feel personally meaningful or useful. Sleeping after watching also helps organize new memories into long-term storage. But endless scrolling immediately afterward often pushes fresh memories aside too quickly. Small habits like these quietly improve memory without forcing your brain to work harder. The goal is not remembering every movie, because no healthy brain does that. The goal is giving meaningful experiences enough attention to truly stay with you. Once attention becomes stronger, memory naturally follows the same direction. You stop blaming your mind and begin understanding how it actually works. That simple shift changes far more than the movies you remember. The next time you forget a movie, do not assume your memory is slowly failing you. Remember that attention always shapes memory long before recall ever begins. Your brain keeps what feels meaningful and quietly releases what seems less important. That does not make you forgetful, because it makes you deeply human instead. Once you understand this pattern, frustration slowly gives way to curiosity and confidence. You begin working with your mind instead of constantly doubting its abilities. That simple perspective can change how you understand memory for the rest of your life. Subscribe for more psychology videos that reveal the hidden patterns behind everyday behavior. Your mind is doing far more behind the scenes than you ever imagined. And that may explain much more about yourself than you expected.